Hello, everyone. This is Madison, and I am going to re-record lesson 2. And again, I apologize. This is late. This has been a multi-day project. In fact, we're hoping that I succeed on this one. I've turned off my phone. I've told my family I'm recording. So here we go. I'm going to go over this briefly, and then I will go into depth if anybody has any questions. So today is Alef-Bet Primer Week 2. We're learning the letters today: Resh, Lamed, Dalet, Shin, and final Mem. Okay. We're also looking at some vowel groups. We have the Ba, the E. We have an O group. It's called Olam and Olam Vav. And we will talk about that later. So again, we have 5 more letters and we have 2 more vowel groups. Okay. Last week, remember, we did Mem, Tav, Hey, Aleph, and Nun. And we looked at the EE vowels, the Hiriks and Shavaz, and the A vowels, the Patak, Kamats, Hatak, Patak. Those vowels. So remember, in the very beginning, the primer level, we are just looking at vowels as vowel groups. Okay, here's our letters again in our standard block print. We have Resh, Lamed, Dalet, Shin, and Samet, or final Mem. Sorry, final Mem. And the reason, again, why I start on the right side is I just want to remind everybody that we read Hebrew from right to left. Here's our Resh. So our Resh has this little kind of curvy down, okay? And if you look at Resh, it actually kind of looks like a backwards R. If you flip it over, kind of looks like one of our R's. So how to remember Resh? Well, Resh is rounded. Resh is also reversed. So I didn't write that down, but Resh is rounded and Resh is a reversed R. Okay, here's our Lamed. Lamed is another one of those letters. We're learning there's a few letters in the Hebrew alphabet that, just like our letters, go a little bit over the line or a little bit under the line. And this one is tall and goes over the line. So if you're standing in front of a lamed, you can see it kind of has some stair looks like this. And it kind of, I don't know, looks like 2 lameds put together, 2 L's put together. So one of the ways that people remember Aleph is it's a ladder. You could step here, you could step here, and you could go up, or you could step on the ladder this way, or you have 1 L this way. And if we could turn our heads upside down, which we can't, thank goodness, we would have a letter L this way. So there's a couple different ways to remember Lamed. Okay, Dalet, ways to remember Dalet. Okay, Dalet has this top like this, and then it goes down. So it has a little flat top. Okay, it doesn't round all the way like Lamed or like Resh does, but it does have what we call a dent. So there's a couple different ways that people remember Dalet. Okay, one is that it has this dent in it right here. Think about somebody running a car into your house and it'd make a dent, right? And this is the doorway. So someone runs your car into the side of your door frame, you're going to dent it. So if your door's open, you're going to go through it and it's like a door. Whichever way works for you. Or again, I always collect these. If you think of a new way to remember Dalet, let me know, because the more ways we can get people to recognize the letter for them that works, the easier it is. And the more fun it is to explain some of them. Okay, Shin. Shin, we have 3 little fingers or 3 little tabs that are up here and a flat base, okay? And then this has a dot up at the top. And we will be talking about this more as we go through. But this little dot is what actually distinguishes this letter from another letter that we will encounter later. So, but today, this is Shin, okay? And Shin, sometimes people say it's a crown. And the reason why I say question mark, how to remember it, is when I try to think of ways to remember it, like if you lay an S down, maybe, I just don't have a really good S way to remember Shin. But it does look like a crown. Final mem. Okay, we mentioned that mem was a mountain last time, and it had this hole in the bottom right here where the stream could come out, or it was a volcano and the magma could come out, or it was a mountain with a molehill. Well, final mem is a little bit different. Final mem is closed. So how do we remember final mem? Well, you can just ski down your mountain here. There's no holes, there's no water. Another way to remember final mem is just everything, it's a flat bottom. Everything is sealed off, okay? And that's our final mem. Final mem, oh, the other thing I need to say about final mem is yes, entirely the reason why it is final mem is because this letter will only appear at the end of a word. So I know it's kind of confusing. You see it a lot at the end of sentences. So sometimes people may think when they're reading a Siddur, well, final mem comes at the end of a sentence. And it does a lot. It does because remember, mem is one of the top letters used in the Hebrew alphabet. And so it comes at the end of a lot of words. And so, but it really is a final mem because it comes at the end of a word itself, not the end of a word at the end of a sentence. So I just want to clarify that. Okay, here's our letters again in our standard easy text block print method or block script to learn them. And week 1 was mem, tav, aleph, hey, and noon. And again, here's the mem with the hole, and you're either skiing down or there's your tree in the water or the mountain and the molehill. And then again, here's your mem all closed. So one last look at them. Okay, week 2 letters. Today's letters are Resh, Lamed, Dalet, Shin, and final mem. Okay, again, I wanted you to take a look at all the different types of ways to write we have so that you know the scripts, that you remember that Hebrew has no capitals or no lower cases. What we're really talking about is just different scripts sometimes, which is confusing. If you're practicing your cursive, this is the page that has the method for forming your letters correctly. Again, we're talking about Resh, and the Resh is up here, Lamed, and the Lamed is down here, Dalet, and the Dalet is up here, Shin, and the Shin is down here, and then finally final mem, and it's right there. Okay. Again, here's our, up on top, we have Resh, Lamed, Dalet, Shin, mem, and this is our typewriter font that we use when we type on a Word document. So we have Resh, Lamed, Dalet, Shin, final mem. Okay, here's our speed drill. So I'm going to pause a minute, point to the letters, and then I'm going to go back and read the letters. So line 1 from right to left would be, and that's your opportunity to say it before I do, tav, mem, hey, noon, aleph. Line 2. Line 2, Resh, 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 tav. Now remember, it does seem kind of childish, and sometimes people ask Madison, why do you ask me to say Resh how many times in a row? It's because when we learn intuitively, we learn by saying things many times in a row. So I'm just jump starting that process by allowing you to get used to saying Resh, seeing Resh, and pointing to Resh with your pointer at the same time, engaging your eyes, your hearing, and your hand at the same time has been known again to help people learn the fastest. Line 3. Lamed, 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 Mem. And line 4 is Dalet, 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 Aleph. Line 5 is Shin, 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 Hey. And now we're going to pause for just one moment. Okay, thank you. Okay, there's our speed drill 1. Okay, here's our speed drill 2. New letter speed drill adds the new letters from this week, and I start to add letters from the week before. So we mix them up a lot better. So line 1, again, I'll give you a second to read it. Okay, we have mem, final mem, hey, final mem, mem, final mem, hey, final mem, mem, final mem, tav. Line 2. Okay, line 2, tav, resh, aleph, tav, lamed, final mem, noon, tav, dalet, mem, shin, tav. Line 3. Line 3, aleph, lamed, aleph, dalet, shin, hey, resh, aleph, mem, final mem, aleph, noon. Hey, shin, final mem, tav, noon, hey, dalet, mem, resh, hey, lamed, aleph. Okay, line 5, noon, dalet, hey, shin, noon, aleph, noon, lamed, mem, resh, final mem, and tav. Okay, we're doing a vowel review identification. So I'm going to go through this briefly, because what I'm going to actually do later on is to take the vowel reviews out and put them on a separate video so that you can review those more often without having to go through the whole entire video. But for today, the vowel review that I'm going to talk about is that Hebrew vowel groups are placed into what we're saying groups. So we have the ah, the e, the eh, the o, the u, the a. Some of these we've learned already, and some of these we haven't. But there's some ways to help you remember what a vowel is and eliminate groups in the beginning. So for instance, the ah vowels will always have a horizontal line in the vowel. They always will. So if you see a horizontal line, it's some type of an ah vowel, okay? The eh vowels. The eh vowels will be a series of stacked dots. So remember, there's a 3 plus 2 plus 5 rule. So if you have 3 dots plus 2 dots and 5 dots, they're all A vowels, okay? The EE or I vowels, those are also a series of dots, but if you notice the difference, they're not stacked. So the F vowels are stacked and the E vowels are not. They're just in series. And the O vowels, are overhead vowels. They're only overhead. You won't find an O vowel anywhere else, okay? Okay, what we know so far about our vowels. So if we look to this first box here on the left side, okay, what we see is a shin. We learned that today. And then we have our 3 dots here. Okay, this is our vowel. And this is a sound like a eh, like a bed. Okay. And that is the what I say when I'm saying stacked vowels. There's this 2 vowels on top and 1 underneath. Now we have our ah vowels here. If we put a shin in here as well, we have a bar. So we know that it has to be some kind of an ah vowel because there's a bar in it or a horizontal line in it. And that would be sha. So that's how we do our ah group. Now we have our e's. And e's are found under the letter. So as, ahs, and e's are all found under the letter. Those are our as I tell the little kids, there are underwear vowels. They're underwear, under the letter. So your underwear you can sit on. If you were sitting on a vowel, you'd be sitting on a vowel with your underwear. So I don't know if that helps you remember or not, but that's what I tell the little kids. They're underwear vowels. So, and it's underwear under the letter. Okay. And the same thing with the EE, the hirik here. We have, if we did a shin, we'd have she. So some letters are vowel holders. Remember that as well. We've learned 2 vowel holders so far. The aleph, okay. Some vowel letters do not make a sound ever, and some vowel holders do make a sound. So it just depends what we're using the letter for. If we're using the letter as strictly a vowel holder, we're using it as a sound. Okay. Last week, we had our 3 vowels, and I'm not going to go through the whole exercise again, but we have the hataf patak, which is a very short ah, the patak, which is the short ah, and the kamatz is the long. And I'm just going to read one from each one. Again, at level 1, you are not expected to really have a good grasp of a long versus a short versus a very short. Very short versus a long, probably, because the ahs with the kamatz, like the tongue depressor one, with your uvula sticking out, that obviously is easiest. So if we had our patak here, we'd have ma. If we'd have our hataf patak, that'd be ta. And if we have our aleph here and we had the ah, the kamatz ah, it'd be ah. So again, these are vowels and you can continue to practice, but at this level, if you get the ah sound, you've met the requirement. Okay, our e vowels are hiriks and our shavas. Again, hirik short is a single dot. It's kind of like the period at the end of the sentence. You put it down and you move forward. Our hirik long has a dot underneath, and then we add our yod to it. Okay. And our shava at this stage, vocally, it's either very short or more often, it's just not anything. It's a syllable marker, and we're going to talk about that more in the final week's class. So, oops, sorry about that. So again, we have me, he, and that's how those sound. Okay, so the EH vowel we're talking about today, this is called sagol, okay? And it's like it has like eggs in a basket. If you think about someone having a basket and the farmer stacking the eggs in, they stack like that. Excuse me. And it's an E sound like you'd find in bed. So bed. So we have me, ne, te, re, le, de, she, me. Except for kind of tricky here. Final mem really won't have a vowel underneath it. So I kind of put that there as a trick to see if anyone remembered from their past experiences seeing a vowel under a final mem, and that doesn't occur. So, okay, O vowels are found above the letter. Okay, when I'm dealing with kids, I call them O no vowels. When I'm dealing with adults, I do use a little bit of a swear word on this one. I call them O crap letters or O shit letters, because if you think about a ball coming to your head in your life, I'm sure someone has thrown a ball at you and you turned around. and you go oh right before it hits you in the head. So these are your O vowels. Your olam is right here, and that just has your dot above your letter, okay? And then we have olam vav, okay? And olam vav is a olam vav is the dot up at the top, and then we have it over the letter vav, which again is what we're talking about is our vowel holder in this case. So those are your oh no vowels or your oh darn vowels, whatever you want to call them, but they're your O's. So, and they are always overhead as well. So you have your overhead vowels and your underwear vowels. Let's see. Okay, so our O vowels, okay, here's our vowel right here. And if you remember, oops, sorry, we have olam vav, and you have the vav there, and olam, just olam. So let me go back. So our olam vav right here. So we would have mo, ho, no, o, to. And this one we would have ro, lo, do, show. And this one would be nothing. Okay. Okay, again, here is our practice, our vowel practice from the week before. I'm just going to do one. So we have our me here, our either our T or just a T in this level, okay? And then this is our longer one, and this is our E. Okay. And we'll talk about, this is also, we'll talk about special diphthong type vowels at the very end. Okay, now this is when you can go to your reading practice from the Jewish Outreach Project, okay? And again, I will have more letters, but you can go back and review the letters the words that you would have been able to make with your letters from last week. Okay, that is the review of lesson 2. So I hope that worked for everybody. And if there's questions that they have, let me know. And we will move on this week to lesson 3. So thank you very much.